Oh, hi everybody. I'm back. You're still live on Facebook. Bob says. Got your text, Bob. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Monsoon Diaries. We're back. Dr. Sun and Calvin.
We're back. We're not dramatic. I assume you were uploading.
I was, and it froze for a second, and I almost panicked. Used my computer consulting backgrounds, went over and just quickly switched to Wi-Fi as I had it paused. Quickly switched back to the app. Saved.
First world problems, but still, I know the feeling because that was gold. I'll promise to make my answer shorter. That was the
Don't
feedback
ever.
giving to myself, looking back.
No, you know what? Never let someone else's expectations become your reality.
No, it was mine. I was just like, man, there was some simple answers I could have given, but it's been a while since I've had like real conversations, right? So this is a pent up verbal diarrhea.
Good.
Okay. No, I'm glad you're okay with it.
Good. You got to talk about it. Talking is our release.
Yeah, it was very healthy. So yeah, what else is on your mind? Where do we leave off? Or what questions were outstanding that people had asked?
I would love to know. Okay, so someone asked, would you ever consider becoming an MSF? I saw that question.
Oh, Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders. Now, it's a 9-month commitment. That's the big problem for me. I'm not a man that's known for committing ahead of time. You know what I mean? Like if you tell me to commit 9-10 months, I'll be like, what? Because I have a lot of stuff in my life that I got to take care of. I have a mom with Parkinson's. You know, I have a home life in New York. I have like 20 different things, and I want to save the world, but like, and also number two, I'm very good at committing like after the fact. Like look back, I'm like, oh, I was always, you know, that was easy. But that's because I set no expectations for myself. That's the whole sunlight giving warmth instead of the wind forcing you to do this, right? That's so that 9-month mandatory commitment is like for me, and I think it's a great organization for what it tries to do. But to me, it doesn't speak my love language. It doesn't tell me that, hey, you can do whatever you want. I need that. I can't be built at prison. Secondly, is the whole concept of staying a long time in 9 months. Speaks to the whole concept of Western medicine knows best, that it does create a sense of dependency. Where after 9 months in, and then you going to leave? And then, yeah, we built them up, we brought them on their feet. It took 9 months. It's going to be really hard for them to be like, okay, now after you left, what do we do? I really, that's why I'm in emergency. I'm in disaster medicine. That's why I'm in mass casualty. I believe you go in no more than a month. You pick them up where they fall, and you don't create that dependency, and you get them back on their feet, and they can operate on their own without the need for you. And we're just there to deliver power plants because you ran out of them, or we're here to deliver supplies because a flood washed them away, or we're here to teach the army how to do wound care because that's sustainable. And then we get out before you start getting too comfortable relying on, us, because we don't want you to feel that way. It's not sustainable. That's my personal beliefs, and people can disagree. And I think you should volunteer for it if you want to do Doctors Without Borders. But if you can do that 9-month commitment, I cannot, because, and then when you start sucking my energy away, I can't. It's very hard for me to start taking care of other people.
Yeah. You got to take care of yourself first. It all comes back to that.
I know my limits.
Put your mask on first.
Yeah.
Or you put. If it was structured differently, or if you could structure a program like Doctors Without Borders but make it different, then you would do it.
What's kind of merging together, Monsoon Diaries is a section called Volunteer. So my travel life, so Monsoon Diaries was created because I was trying to prove that you can travel full-time as a full-time medical student. Like if it wasn't for the medical part and seeing patients and taking care of people, this Monsoon Diaries wouldn't have existed, because that's the whole aspect, that I can travel while as a med student. One thing could not exist without the other. If I weren't for travel, I would have burned out of med school and probably quit or got kicked out. But if it weren't for medical school, I've been like, fuck it. I don't have the burning desire to travel. So it's married. And I think that's where it's coming towards, where if I could design my own thing, which is mass casualty disaster, where you know, something happens, they need help. Like they actually honestly need help. It's not like, oh, who can we help? No, it's just like you generally need someone to pick you up where you fall. We're happy to be part of an alliance of other organizations, just helping wherever we can, and then getting out before things, you know, basically start depending on us. And at the same time, on our way back after mission accomplished, we get to see a few countries. I don't know, like I haven't figured this. It has to come organically. I don't want to force it, and it's I'm not, and I don't want to sound like the guy. I want to save the world. No, people would interview me for residency, and they're like, "Oh, tell me the Monsoon Diaries. Was it for medical missions?" And I'm like, "No, it's just for fun."
Yeah.
It was me to stave off burnout and moral injury, and to take people out just to have fun, so that when we come back, we're fully recharged. It had nothing to do with medical. Lately, we did a few medical things, but only because it was just obvious we had to. But that's because it was organic and genuine. It wasn't like, I'm looking to help people. No, that's too forced. I don't want to be unauthentic.
Yeah, that's true. How did the name Monsoon Diaries come about? You want to tell everybody?
I was looking for a name for a travel blog the summer before I started medical school. It's like, I'm going to travel for the summer, and I need a name. And a lot of them were really like, they were well-meaning, but they were just so cliche. It was like variations of Eat, Pray, Love, and there was variations of, you know, the things that were very long names that I just thought was too forced. One of my favorites is how Chen Ho got his balls back, which I thought was borderline racist, but it was my best friend who was, you know, fine, Asian, but it was how Calvin's son got his balls back, maybe. But finally, his girlfriend then brought up, why don't you mash up two things that you just did? I had just saw Monsoon Wedding, and I know I'm going to monsoon season that summer in India. And I just saw Motorcycle Diaries, which is about Che when he was a medical student. Before, you know, he was a medical student, he took a motorcycle down South America right before he started medical school. That sounds like me. And I also kept a diary since I was 6 years old. Like, you want to see, you saw the map. I kept a diary 6 years. Yeah.
Calvin's Diaries. Oh my
Black and
goodness.
white notebooks. This is my 10th grade one. But this is like, yeah, when I was in, I think, second grade. This is like an SAT prep book, but this is the money. It's the 8th grade.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I rapped like Eminem in 8th grade.
Yeah. Well, I asked girls to write notes to me, and I don't know from that. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. Hi, I'm on to Vienna. August 18, 1996. And that's where the Zanga picks up after this one and leaves off. And yeah, so Diaries. I was just like, I need something with Diaries. This is a travel blog. So Monsoon Wedding, Motorcycle Diaries, the M, Monsoon Diaries.
Wow. And can you say that thing you say about monsoons? They cover everything.
Oh, that came out really conveniently. So 2 years into the travel blog, I led a trip to Iran, and the people in that group, wonderful people. Some are my friends. One girl I used to date, still friends, and they started joking around like, "We're monsooners, we're monsooners." Like, what does that mean? Like, ew, what a weird word. And I realized they were doing a riff on the Monsoon Diaries, and they were calling themselves that. Like, oh no, I'm actually creating community. But I didn't embrace it at the time. I just thought like, I'm just a solo traveler just doing trips. And then another of my best friends was like, no, you need to own this, because there are people who like know about you, who want to travel with you around the world, and they're doing their own thing. They're calling themselves monsooners, and you're not even like taking ownership of this. If you're not going to turn to a business, I will. And he's a business dude. And he did actually take it over. I'm like, what are you doing? But my birthday. So he then gave me back control of it, and I had to own that, and reluctantly realized I was doing something that had a business model. So I felt really icky about that. I was like, this is a travel blog. I wanted it to be like organic and nothing to do with money. But people were literally paying me to take them on these adventures that I just wanted them pay me back for. Like, I paid for the hostel, I paid for the food, pay me back. He's like, no, this works. And that's when I was like, okay, so should I change the name to something like sexy, like 1 or 2 syllables? Monsoon, that's the name of a clothing company. It's like, and it's like, no, everyone keep it to Monsoon Diaries, but how does that work in travel? And then it just worked out conveniently. It's like, wait a minute, like I love Monsoon when I came up with the title because it's like a force of nature that doesn't kill people, right? Typhoons kill people. Rainstorms are kind of annoying. Mudslides are bad. Earthquakes kill people. Hurricanes kill people. I don't want anything that kills people. I want something that's like, what's a humongous force of nature that brings life, that people celebrate? And that's Monsoon, right? When the monsoon season comes, doesn't have a negative connotation to it. People celebrate. That's how Bhangra was created, was to celebrate the coming of the harvest. And that has to do with the monsoonal winds and, in South Asia. So I was like, this is a force of nature that does good, that covers a large surface area and then leaves us suddenly. So that's kind of like how we travel, right? We cover all the surface areas like a New Yorker. We do a lot in a short amount of time. It feels like we have so much free time to do whatever we want. There's nothing planned like a monsoon. It's sudden. And then we get the fuck out before we realize it's over, right? Just like a monsoon. And it's like, what was that? And you come back and you're like, oh my God, what did we just experience? And we covered a large surface area, just like a monsoon. So hence the Monsoon Diaries. We kept that title, and that's how it is. And I've embraced it ever since.
I really like that a lot. I love it. I love the monsoon. Once I heard that, I was like, oh man, that's good. That's really good.
Very accidental. It was very organic. But I'm assuming you compose, right?
I do.
Yeah, you compose. And there's just some moments you're just like, ooh, but then you listen to it after the 24-hour grieving period. Like, okay, let me think about it. And you listen again. I was like, what have I had at this angle? And that's what Monsoon Diaries. When I heard it, it's like, it's so long. It's 3 syllables, 4 syllables long. People misspell monsoon all the time. So it's very hard to like, oh, this is my website. This is my email. What could have been all those misconnections because they misspell monsoon. Monsoon, and I can't get upset at that. And I just hate it. I always wanted to change monsoon, and then you turn around and it's like, you know what? That chord, that theme sounds different in different years, and it's the way you play it, and it's beautiful.
It was a force of nature. You couldn't stop it. It had to be. Things that have to be just must be.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. I'm like the reluctant, resistant person to change. Like if you like read this journal, it was about like how shy I am. I don't want to put myself out there. I never wanted to go to the beach or travel. I would be the kid that cried if you like took me to the beach and take off my shoes. And no matter how much I tried not to, the Egypt story, no matter how much I didn't want to travel, it took me 3 weeks being dragged kicking and screaming to finally understand something what most people grew up loving, which is travel. Like, oh, I love to travel. I want to travel. And I'm like, still to this day, people say, I want to travel. I'm like, where does that come from? Like, did you also lose a bet? Like, well, and I realized everybody wants to travel except for me. So I don't want to take that for granted. I'm very lucky, but the irony is not lost upon me that I'm the guy who hated traveling, and I'm seen as the guy who takes people on these trips. And then to this day, that hasn't changed. I'm still very shy. This is all a cartoon character exterior front that I created it's like a filter. Yeah, it's a defense mechanism. The performance you and the home you, the vacation you, the home you, right? You love going on vacation, but there's also a home aspect. You go on vacation for too long, you're going to miss home. You stay at home for too long, you want to be that crazy vacation, but hence this pent up, blah. But there's also this, right? There's also the guy that writes in journals and like, and puts like pictures of himself. It's that balance. So, I mean, it's this the irony. And the reason also like right now, the irony is not lost on me that it took a travel ban for a travel blog to get the huge following that it has now. Like, but I'm not planning in this. It's just like med school in Egypt and this. I don't plan. Just let it be.
Let it be. Wow. Well, by being together, we can all be stronger.
Who are we? Like, what's the threads of a rope?
Mm-hmm.
Put it together. One thread can easily break, or you just wrap the thread into a rope, and then it's like,
Yep. All the little monkeys, like in Toy Story, all the little monkeys, they can make their own. Cute.
Yep.
What is your
MD Diaries? Somebody wrote Val. I know you. That was also weird. Like Monsoon Diaries it stands MD is like the acronym for it. That I did not realize that until 2 years ago. That was like, what the fuck? So like that's what it means. Like, what does it all mean? That's what it means. When I ask, what does it all mean? I don't fucking understand it. Life is weird. But I'm very grateful for it. Like, it's just beyond me that it's things just work out.
They really do. I hope right now they do, but I have faith and I believe it, and I believe that people will be and show their true colors, and they'll show their love, and we'll all come together stronger.
Yeah, and this right now, like, this could be a one-time thing and I'll never see you again, or it can lead to something else like Mauritania. I chose to be here because I believed in like the vibes, and I have no expectations. But I think if this is the things that needs to keep us going during this time in the pandemic, I choose to worship, or I choose to believe that this is just the next step. This what's happening right now, and the people watching, because you create that ripple effect. Or you can choose not to believe in it. That's your prerogative. And we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But there's a reason why I'm here. It's not like, oh, I also want to talk to somebody, and so if people invite me, I'll come. No, there's a meaning behind anything. That's because I choose to believe it, and it takes two to tango. So you believe in it as well.
I do.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
Not a duet though. I can't play piano as well as I did before.
Oh my gosh, but I think you could maybe learn a song, and we could do a song sometime.
Practice a lot, which I guess in quarantine you can do. So I might.
I'll have you on anytime. I'll be your therapy. If I can help you in any way, you let me know. I don't want you to feel it. We will take that ripple and throw it out, and it will touch everyone in the world. Our love shall spread. I believe it. What? Say, sorry.
No. If you want to send me anything, I could start learning how to sight read again.
Yes. That is fantastic. I'm so excited. What is your, I know you say, I'm sorry, I know I have like one of those ear things where I hear it and I remember it. You say in your podcast, your first thing of advice that you would give to people is only to take their own advice. But let's hear your guidance for people right now.
That advice is to don't listen to anyone's advice but your own. Really, it's just the advice I would give is only from my personal lived experience. It may not apply to you, but if you can derive some kind of inspiration from it, or some kind of energy that helps you get where, even if it means doing the opposite of what I say, it's still an effect, then that's great. And I can talk about anything. So advice in what sense? What parameter are you asking about?
Whatever you would think would be helpful for people right now. I mean, this is advice coming from a present day hero, in my opinion, and I'm sorry to embarrass you.
I'm not a hero. I'm just a regular dude, just showing about showing his life. Just be genuine. I think. I mean, the best advice is eat your vegetables, brush your teeth at least twice a day. Don't forget to floss. And not because flossing works or brushing your teeth works or eating your vegetables is good. It's that you need to develop habits. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm not here to take a political stance. Like, some people's like, I don't want flossing. I've done this enough to people. People will be like, did you read this paper that says flossing doesn't do anything? Yes, I've read that paper. But you need to do these things because it creates the habit that you need to hold on to keep you going when your will falters. And everybody needs habits. And you can choose to have good habits or bad habits. And I like to believe that brushing your teeth, eating your vegetables, making your bed if you can, I need to work on that, or writing in diaries, composing songs, playing music, dancing, meditate. These are all things that you have to hold on to your habits. Because if you don't have those things, something else is going to happen that you need to do habits. And if you don't establish those good habits now to keep you going, right? Tragedies will happen. Traumas will happen. I mean, I don't wish trauma on anyone, but someone in your life will die. A pandemic is going to happen. Someone's going to get sick. It might be you. You might lose somebody. You might meet someone and lose somebody. And all these things are totally out of your control. But those things are definitely guaranteed. Bad shit. And when you go through bad shit, like, I didn't expect my dad to die, but that was something that happened. And I could have went the other way. And that's when you create bad habits, when you don't even realize it. Oh, I'll stop working out today just because I had a rough day. And then I was like, I'll stop doing this. Or like, I'm going to, do this thing that's negative energy, or, I'll do something else that doesn't isn't productive, or I'll start procrastinating a little more just because I owe that to myself. I'll forgive, which is great if it's a little bit, but if you have no good habits to keep you pull the other direction, those are going to become your habits instead. And then you're going to start going to that negative cycle, and then it's going to be very hard to crawl out of that hole when it's time for you to, restart your life again. That's why the traveling thing was something where I still am that person who hates traveling. Like, if you find me in the airplane, there's a lot of times where I'm just like, I travel every 3 to 4 weeks the last 10 years. Every 3 to 4 weeks. So even you'll find me in the airplane, I'm like, oh God, I don't want to do this. But I do it anyway because it's like brushing my teeth. There are plenty of times where after a hard night out and I'm hungover, I don't want to brush my teeth. You know that feeling? You look at the teeth, it's like, no, I'm just going to, crash. I get, but that's where the habits kicks. No, I need to brush my teeth. And that one time may not hurt, but it's like that. The way you do one thing in life is the way you do everything in life. And if I don't get on that airplane, if I just give in once, I'm never going to travel again. And I'm glad I went on that airplane, even if I didn't want to travel at that time, because now we're in a pandemic and we can't travel for the next couple of months to a couple of years. And I would have been kicking myself. It's like, you should have manned up and embraced that trip, or like got on the airplane and traveled, because now you know. And I actually went. I'm glad I went. Every trip I went on, I always look back and was like, damn, that was amazing. Because travel is the only thing that you pay for that increases in value over time. You buy a car, it loses value. 20 years later, why the fuck did I buy that car? You buy a shirt, you buy a pair of pants, and like, why did I buy this 10 years later? A trip is the only thing you pay a lot of money for. In our case, we don't pay a lot of money for. I make my trips cheap, but you pay money for it that you look back and you're like, I would have paid way more for that experience. That it's an investment, because that's how I choose to believe travel is for me. And it could be meditation for you. It could be the gym for you. It could be music for you. It doesn't matter. For me, it's travel, and I try to make it as cheap as possible. And I'm glad I did it, because now we're in a pandemic. We can't do any of those things, going to the gym, playing in concerts or travel. And so I'm grateful that it happened. So that's what create good habits. Do it 62 times, I think, is the magic number, I think, to make it a habit. 62.
Oh, I'm back. Somebody just tried calling me. I thought it was 28.
I thought it was 26 or 28, right? Somebody told me the Russians say 62. Chris Voss, the negotiator guy, the master negotiator, he said 62 in his master class.
Oh, really? And then there's that book, Atomic Habits. I love that book because he talks about how once you have your schedule and your routine, you can habit build. So the way that you say, you decide, oh, I actually do want to do this, I think that's going to help me grow. You can attach that little thing that you want to do, that little habit. Every day I'm going to play 10 minutes of piano. I can attach that to right after I eat, so that I do it right after I normally eat dinner. And then, and you just keep attaching your habits to other habits, and you can grow.
That there's an addendum to that is I always say for some people, schedule the fun things first. Always schedule the fun things first when you're planning your schedule, because then you go attach things to it. And once you do those things, you're still gonna have a lot of free time. I mean, as long as the fun things aren't like 28-hour dance marathon, that doesn't count. No, don't do the hour dance marathon every day. That's not sustainable. But like, do the fun things first, like 1 hour brunch, or like 20-minute coffee date, or do an IG live for an hour and a half. Because I guarantee the 20 other hours you have in your day, or the 15 other hours in your day, you're gonna be in such a good mood that you're ready to do the shit that you don't want to do, because you're just like, I've had so much fun, I'm sick of having fun, because you schedule that first. Then you fill up all the rest with the things that you have to do. I mean, this doesn't work for everyone, but it is a worthy concept to try if you just hit a wall. Things to look for.
Everything in moderation, right? Just like, try to have that little time for you, for that self-care, to get yourself centered and do what you need to do in the morning. Everything else that day, then you have that abundance to give to others. It's just what we've been talking about this whole time.
If you don't, it's a way to say the diet that works the best. What's the diet that works? Why do you look so, why do you do intermittent fasting? The best diet that works is the one that works for you, the one that you enjoy. That's it. Oh, but I enjoy junk food and candy and carbs. then have you tried the other ones? Yeah, I did. I don't like all of them. And keep trying until you find one that really works, because junk food and candy and carbs may not be good for you. I think that's where you say moderation. Okay, not every diet it can be possible, but pick a sustainable, healthy diet that works for you. And if it doesn't work for you, no matter how healthy it is, like even intermittent fasting or keto, if you don't enjoy it, you're just going to, binge on, cheat day, and, undo all the gains that you did, which is exactly what's happening in this pandemic. All the gains we've made in the last 30 years has been undone in 3 months. So that's what happens. Binges will happen. So you got to pick a sustainable diet that you can keep to, that you can create a good habit with. We're back to habits, that when the binge day comes, which they will, because shit happens in life all the time where you just fall down, it's enjoyable enough for you to bounce back to that ease more easily. It's like, you know what, but I love doing this. That is my bad habit, my good habits. But if you don't have those good habits set, then you could do anything. And you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for anything.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we could have a self-love TV show. Hell yeah. You are fantastic. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I don't know what else to say.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
We could go on forever, really, about health and dieting, I bet, and workouts, and what's your favorite dance move, and how do you feel about this chord? But
any questions that people have that you want to throw up? I don't know. Or do you have to go? You have to go. So no.
Don't worry. Any questions anyone has? Oh, there you go. There's one. All the gains in 30 years, lost in 3 months. What do you mean by that?
Oh, Shaifa. I mean, why is she asking? Shaifa is a girl I met at a coffee shop while studying for step 2, and she was studying for her exam. Cafe Noir on 74th and 2nd. Yeah, so this is not just a random person asking a question. This is a girl that we had a meet cute moment. I talked to her in the cafe, a total stranger, and we stayed friends. She ended up crashing at my place for a few, days to check out the city a little. And she actually volunteers with me at the New York City Marathon, and randomly walked in as a runner at another marathon when I was like, "What are you doing here?" So she's like, "Hi, Shai." Yes, I'm not throwing you under the bus. I'm just always telling the truth. So it's also of all the people that asked the questions that you had to ask was somebody that had some kind of magic in my life. What I'm talking about is all the gains. I'm talking about like the economy, all the jobs that we added, the movement we had towards equal pay for equal work, for women being on a more level playing field in terms of the workforce. All of that has been undone because of this economy being turned upside down from the pandemic. So that's what I meant.
Yeah.
And a person being reinfected, it might be possible. I just read a report someone sent me. I have to validate if it's true, because there's a lot of junk out there. And I had to go off the pretest probability that it is possible because there's multiple strains. Yeah, you could get reinfected. The USS Roosevelt sailors who tested negative twice in between and were fine, someone got sick again and they tested positive. Now, we don't know if that's the nature of the actual virus, but we also don't know if it's the possibility of getting reinfected. So we need time to tell. You're not going to know for sure until we look back and see a trend. Favorite place to travel? I don't choose favorites among children. How can I? But I have a lot of superlatives. Like the most recent, most amazing experience was the iron ore train ride that hitchhiked on for free for 13 hours in Mauritania. Yeah, it's the backbone of Sahara. It's one of the most extreme things I've ever done. I just got it on my stories where the sky was filled with stars. I was crying. It was amazing. That was just end of January, so 4 months ago. The most weird places I've ever been to was North Korea and Myanmar and Turkmenistan. Those are most fascinating. The most beautiful nature-wise by far is Greenland, Antarctica, and Namibia. In Greenland, I was just there 7 months ago. The most magical was New Zealand. The most underrated was Slovenia. The most fun was Cuba. The most difficult and challenging was the United States of America on Route 66. That was tough. And the country that I go back to over and over and over and over again, even though I say I'll never go back to the same country twice, is India.
Why?
Well, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, South Asia area, and Nepal. But it's because I always say that New York City, I love New York City so much. I was born and raised here because every day is a story. And, you know, you're doing something wrong if you're bored in New York. India is the only other place I've been to where every day something crazy happened, but that was the whole country. New York City is just a city where that happens. But I loved India in that every day I would meet someone in day 2 or day 3, and I run into them in day 14, day 15, in the opposite side of the country. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? But it would be like every day where it would be like, boop, 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 boop. And then I had my Lost in Translation story there. I had my Before Sunrise, Before Sunset story, a Vanilla Sky story. Like all of that has it just somehow in India. You just have to Google 5 years later Monsoon Diaries, and it's like it was a huge thing for a while. 5 years later, it literally sounds it is what it sounds like 5 years later, where I met somebody, and then ran into them 5 years later. It was just unreal, and that's what it means to me, that the craziest stories I have serendipities everywhere, but the most number of serendipities that like blow my mind up every time I think about them is in India. Just the chaos. Like if I go to the Taj Mahal at 5 p.m. and you go to the Taj Mahal the same day, but at 10 a.m., our stories would be completely different. But if I go to Angkor Wat on a January in 2005 and you go June of 2020, our stories would be very similar. Yeah, so that's why I love India. North Korea, because somebody dared me in a bet. I was like, where should I go? My blog was, where should I go next? And I was traveling live. I blog live. And people were like, oh, you should go here, you should go here. Some asshole was like, North Korea, ha, ha, ha. And I was like, well, you know what? Fuck you. I'll try. And in 5 minutes, I emailed somebody after like a Google search. And I got the visa. And they're like, your visa's ready. You just need to get a visa to go to China to pick up your North Korean visa. And I was like, that was that easy and cheap and okay. And, you know, I'm Chinese, so it's, you know, Chinese American. So I was like, oh, I'm a good excuse to visit the motherland. And then I got the Chinese visa and I picked up my North Korea visa. And then I went.
Wow.
What's more important, practicing medicine or your travel experiences? They're both equally the same. One cannot exist without the other.
Okay. There's got to be some. Let me see. What did you think of Australia? I think you said.
Oh, Australia. Yeah, New Zealand's the most magical. Australia's super cool. Good place to live. I miss it. But there was something in the air with New Zealand. They're just like magic. And it literally happened. Like, we just like, oh, there's something different. And then like 20 minutes later, I tripped over a fan and then, yeah, serendipity. There's another. I don't have time for that.
Let's see. I'm looking back at what people said.
Beautiful country, and what struck me the most was how normal it was. And it's one of the most beautiful places I've been to. And I miss the food. Where am I going next? I was supposed to go to. I was supposed to be in Syria. I had the visa approved and everything. I had 20 people in my group. All of our visas got approved, but then COVID-19 happened. So last week of March, first week of April, that was called off. We're supposed to go to Wales in July, but I have an IG follower, which I will meet you if you're a follower of mine and you're a nice person, you're not a dick. In our conversations, I will meet you. That just happened 2 days ago in my med school when I was in the air. I was like, anyone around? And then somebody was following me I never met before. Stop by. Showed me around. And the same thing was in Wales. I had somebody in Wales was like, you shouldn't come right now because it's a mandatory 2-week quarantine if you land. And it's supposed to be a 4-day trip. So that might get called off. So after that, it'll be Kaliningrad, Cyprus, with a stopover to Lithuania, which I've been before. That was another crazy story there. That might not happen because they're still trying to get off of the pandemic train. So we don't know. What do we think about New York City? It's my home. I was born and raised here. Otherwise I wouldn't be living here. It's my favorite place in the world. Have I been to all the United States? I think I'm at 29, 31 states. Yeah. Hawaii. I'm not actually technically not allowed back in Hawaii. No, I am allowed, but I dated somebody in the royalty.
No way.
Not the actual royalty, but like pretty famous, and I like to respect people's spaces, and that's their space. So I'm very fond of that place, and I want them to not be distracted by me. So kind of avoid it.
Oh. No, I just overreact naturally. That's who I am. I really am. That's just like literally who I am. I'm trying to think.
No, we can go. I mean, it's we've been talking for an hour and 40 minutes. So if you have to go, you got to go.
I don't have to go. That I just love Hawaii. When I went down there, it was just so beautiful and laid back, and the Mahalo vibes were real. You know, like it was such a nice spirit everybody had.
I'm 33 years old. I single. Story. The question of the century. No, I'm not. You stay safe. All right. I think that questions are petering out. It looks like people
are petering out. Thank you for giving us so much of your time. I'm sure you're extremely busy.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure. And thank you for giving me the space to riff with somebody that is a complete stranger, but kindred souls. Yeah. Nala's doing great. My significant other is standing outside the door waiting for me to have dinner. And I love you back.
Well, thank you so much again.
We'll do this again sometime. Just let me know.
That would be awesome. Anytime you want. I'm down.
All right. We'll jam another time. And while concerts when it's safe to do so.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thank you. Yes, thank you for making Friday night awesome.
Thank you for having me. Good night. Be safe.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night. Be sweet, be tough, guys. Remember that you are enough. Good night. Every night at 7. And